we had an issue with the AI eventually getting to the answer, but manipulating the data.
It's powerful, but powerfully dangerous.
When I started Endeavour, Sony Belgium, they came with me. IBM Belgium and Netherlands came and they said, John, we've got 4 suppliers globally. You as one-man band will be our 5th supplier. It's efficiencies. Excel didn't make every bookkeeper redundant. If you're using AI too much, it's actually off-putting because it's like, what is you? And we need to see the individual. The biggest advice is save enough money. The amount of companies that fail is they fail on cash flow.
The Operator Podcast by circle.cloud.
Johnathan, thank you for being here. Why don't we start with a little introduction? Maybe you can say about your story, about where, how you got here and how you started the business and why you started it. Just a bit of an introduction from you.
Thank you, Axel. And it's a pleasure to be here. I suppose, much like yourself, for me, I've always had an interest in technology. I studied technology, studied software programming, and then went into network and systems engineering. Started my career as a network engineer.
Network engineer for what company was that?
Clarity Solutions in Cape Town. And these were the days we used to go out, lay physical cables, backup servers, physical backups, fix your customers' problems. So client-facing. Came to the UK and started speaking to lots of recruiters. And I was like, this is a fantastic industry.
Speaking to them what, for a job for you?
Yeah, to find myself a job. But they all started telling me, you don't have sales experience. So I was like, well, I want to get a job in recruitment. So I went off, got myself 6 months of sales experience, got into recruitment. And from there, I did medical recruitment for a couple of years and then got into IT and technology recruitment. For me, recruitment was very much essence of business. It's you put yourself out there, you have to win the business. You then have to maintain the business. You've got to provide a service. And so many people chase the margin and the money, where actually it's about a service industry. You provide that good service, you get repeat business. That repeat business will always win over basically chasing the money. And you build a reputation and a name. And I worked for a company for quite a while. And when I started Endeavour, it was over 10, 11 years ago now, I was lucky enough that Sony Belgium, they came with me. IBM Belgium and Netherlands came and they said, John, we've got 4 suppliers globally. You as one-man band will be our 5th supplier. I had the support of multinationals coming and saying, we'll buy you.
But how? How did you get that support? How did you get Sony, for example?
I'd been dealing with them. So Sony was a long story. Sony I started dealing with in the second year of my old company through one of their consortium suppliers. The director for Sony Europe came to me and she said, John, who are you? And I'm like, well, I'm finding these hard to find people for you. She fired the companies on the consortium and she said, I'll wait a year for your contract to pass and I'll deal directly with you.
Okay, so
as we
relationship building.
Yeah,
basically. They liked you.
And she's now head of Sony in Japan.
Wow.
So
you still in touch, still a customer?
Yeah, no, we still work together, so that's good. So these are 20-year relationships. And effectively, that's who I am. And Endeavour's very much been about building and growing relationships. We work across Europe, the UK, Ireland, so mainland Europe, but we also do a lot in the Middle East and Africa. Lovely emerging markets, companies that have got shortfalls with technology and compliance and regulations that need to keep in touch with international rules, but have issues around budgeting and don't have the resource pools, and we will find them solutions. So for us, it hasn't just been about a fast fix of finding who you need. It's also been very much of listening to where our clients have issues and offering them solutions that they aren't aware of.
Yeah.
And saying, well, you don't need to buy a person in on a permanent basis because you could buy this person in on 3 months. They can upskill that person within your team and then they can be released again. It's options. And that's what we enjoy.
In Africa, we talk about South Africa.
South Africa, Botswana, Kenya, Namibia, Ghana.
And these temp roles, or are they permanent roles?
Both. But a lot of those countries will be around their finance organizations having to deal with international regulatory rules and changes. And we'll be able to, or they're using investment banking systems and they're being heavily ripped off with licensing fees. And we can be like, well, you can buy that team and this is the true cost of what those individuals are being paid. This is the cost of what you're paying that consultancy, and they can buy in themselves and manage it.
And are these mostly for UK or European clients? Because obviously it's the same time zone, right?
Yeah, no, it's an hour or two. No, totally independent. So the UK is a lovely, stable market, but it trickles on. Europe's very much the same, and then Africa's very much an emerging market where they don't really realize what they don't have. It's the same as we've got clients in, I think they call themselves the Indian Ocean region and Indian Ocean Islands. That's what they refer to themselves as.
We're talking about Indonesia area or something?
Mauritius.
Mauritius.
Yeah, that's a very big, financial services, huge.
Oh, wow. So I thought it was mostly technology that you placed roles for.
No, it is, but it's technology within finance, defense, industry, government. It's
wow.
Technology is a very big area because every organization has an element.
In every department they have that. For example, in finance, I'm assuming there's a lot of data analytics and engineering around data science, right?
Exactly. Trading platforms, risk, every element, cards. I mean, you can talk any one section of any one company and look at the technology behind it and what's in-house, what's outsourced, what isn't, the costings, the data that they're storing, who's creating systems. It's endless.
Interesting. And what was when you first started, what was the reason, what made you want to start, and how did you think you would differentiate? Because it's a crowded market, right? How do you think of differentiating?
Okay, that's a good question. For me, the reason for starting, a love for business, but also the longevity within the industry. I saw the problem with working for somebody else was that I would always be controlled over the margin I had to charge my clients. Now, sometimes a client says to us, I have a budget and I really need your help. You've got to be flexible. You can't win on every deal. Sometimes you have to say, look, we're not going to make any money, but this will help you out. And maybe 2 or 3 deals down the road, we'll make some money.
Yeah.
But when you're working for somebody, you do not have control over that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of my key areas was flexibility, looking after and maintaining staff, low staff turnover. People go through peaks and troughs. I look at them on a yearly basis as opposed to monthly. We sort of work together. And then as a market, what differentiates us? I mean, recruitment's always been a busy market. Every market in the UK is a competitive market. What differentiates yourself is put yourself out there, do a good job, get people to talk about you. If people are talking about you for the right reasons, you'll pick up your clients. If they're talking about you for the wrong reasons,
yeah, you're right. And it's also having that personal relationship, I think, which goes above, going above and beyond is one thing, but clients being able to just talk to you and pick up the phone and talk to you, I think it's important, having that human-to-human relationship. I wanted to get an idea of the sense of how big is Endeavour today, how many people have you got in the business, and also, are you finding a shift in the roles that the technology roles that you're placing? Is there a shift in the role type? Are you placing different roles?
Okay. Good question. Yes, the technology changes. Types of roles we place will change. So there'll be trends where there'll be different technologies which are favorable and different ways of storing or backing up data. So your technology stacks will change from time to time. And within that, you'll have products which continuously change. But where do we see the market at the moment? I would say the sort of standard mid-level developer role, there's a lot less. Or if I said my clients in the UK that are in e-commerce, digital marketing, media, I'd say we're seeing over the last 2 years, that market has been relatively flat. Now,
mid-level?
Yeah, mid-level.
What about entry-level? Same?
We don't, I would say it's flat, although that's not really our forte, because I'll always recommend and suggest places for our clients to find those direct. You don't need somebody recommending you a graduate.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And you don't need to spend your money there. So the UK has been quieter in those areas, but that's not just because of a turbulent market. It's also because there was an overspend post-COVID, companies invested heavily in IT, they invested heavily in technology. So there was almost like a rebalancing. So where the media gives a lot about this dull and gloom and how recruitment slowed down, I think it was almost like a little reset as well. It had slowed down, definitely. This year, interestingly, where companies were in a holding pattern last year, we've seen a massive uptake in recruitment, which is positive because generally when companies start spending money, everyone starts spending money 6 months later.
Yeah.
So,
and do you reckon this mid-level person slowdown that you said is a bit flat, is it because people are using AI and tools like that to do those jobs, you think?
There is definitely an element of where can we use and utilize AI? And that has created large amounts of efficiency, especially within technology, but I suppose every industry. Within that, you always have the areas of what can you use with AI and what can't you. So often with AI and software development, if you're creating a nice product for a client, it's brilliant. But if you're a defense company and you need to build something that you can reverse engineer or a bank, then you have to be more cautious about your use of AI. So, and they all follow different trends, but certainly around your sort of marketing, e-commerce, the AI is playing a role and will continue to do so, as it should, really.
And are you seeing your customers asking for this? For example, in the developer roles that we put out there, we actually specify you must use AI to code. You must know how to, you must be comfortable coding with AI. Because I find that the junior developers, for example, they are using AI, but really you can use AI tools like Cursor, Claude Code to build software like a junior dev would. And then you have the mid-level or the senior guys that end up being code reviewers. And that's what most of the time, what they're doing most of the time is reviewing code. And that code is generated by Claude, which is an AI tool, rather than an individual junior dev. I think that's where things are shifting. Are you finding your clients asking you, please make sure that AI skills, or in terms of software, for example, are they asking you, I want this software developer to know how to use AI tools proficiently? Is that part of the job description?
By and by, I would say yes. Because if our clients are hiring a software engineer, by the fact you're hiring a software engineer, this person should be continuously moving forward and have an interest in technology and new releases, what's happening in the market, where things are moving. They shouldn't ever be the type of person who just knows one product and sticks with it, because they will be outdated before they graduate. So those good people that you should be putting across to your clients naturally should be there. And yes, your client will put it down in a requirement, but you're kind of not doing your job if you don't have somebody who's continuously moving forward. And yes, that AI, like you said, is massively important. The code review is massively important, but as well as that, then you have those people who sit on top where they actually have to understand what that AI has created so they can look at it and the code. So it's the two, but it's exciting. It's
because there's a lot of there's a fear within AI of within the code generated by AI of what is it generating? Is it correct? Can you trust it? Because a hallucination happen, and then you got to make sure that it's
the biggest. Because AI, if we think about it, it's still relatively new, and it's still this growing product that's just going to get better.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing we have with our clients at the moment, it's not about the AI, it's the inputting the data to the AI to get the right answer.
That's about the prompt, right? All about the prompt.
Exactly. So, and it's like, how do you search for that person? Because if someone puts AI in a CV, it's somebody who's actually really good at that. Now somebody can tell you they are, but you don't know until they actually physically do it. And some AIs will manipulate the data eventually to give you an answer that you've asked for, even if it's manipulated data. Now that's going to iron out, and that'll iron out quickly because this thing is moving so fast.
Oh yeah.
But if you're looking at something that an actuary would have done for an insurance company, and so, for example, a medical procedure, and the actuary would list every item and then come up with that price that your insurance company would need to charge. We had an issue with the AI eventually getting to the answer, but manipulating the data. It's so clever, it's so intelligent, but that will then correct itself. So we only just a little bit in front of the game.
Yeah.
And that'll be a recorrection. So
It's powerful, but powerfully dangerous.
The other talk is data and data compliance. And that's a major thing that they're basically saying we've got to keep working on this year, because within GDPR there is massive crossovers and risks and grey areas. And as well as the next thing is, if you're using AI to generate a product, who owns that product? It's just one of these interesting areas that you'll just continuously watch adapting and evolving and changing. But it's lovely to see.
It's the Wild West right now. It is.
It
honestly.
is. But, so was the internet. So were emails.
Yeah.
Like it's continuously like the world changes.
Yeah.
Like I remember like sitting on Facebook being like, wow, this is cool.
2007, 8 time.
Yeah, exactly. So I think like a lot of people have this like caution and this like dull and gloom outlook. I'm like, no, it's efficiencies. Excel didn't make every bookkeeper redundant. It just improved. AI just improves.
Yeah. I've got a question about
enhances.
AI jobs coming up a bit later on. But in terms of technology stack in your business, what does it look like? What do you use day to day? What are the tools that you use, and how do they impact your business?
Okay, within our house, within Endeavour, we're just very much running on Microsoft Cloud, nice and stable. We use Teams a lot. Interestingly, it's always an interesting trend, because it's how do people actually really want to communicate? So physical phone calls, who answers a physical phone, like in our offices anymore? Our clients are much more receptive to a WhatsApp message.
It's true, because the modern business today doesn't necessarily use the normal desk phone as much. So when you call them, because we've done something internally, we've switched from dialing out with landlines to dialing out with mobiles. We don't actually use mobiles, but when you call out from our system, we can present any number you want, right? So we've got a number of mobile numbers that we utilize to dial out. So our outbound team downstairs, they are dialing out, presenting from our full system, but they're dialing out, presenting a mobile number.
And I think you would get a better rate. I don't know the data, but I would
absolutely
guess.
get a better rate. We've improved the contact rate drastically, over
Yeah.
50% contact rate increase, and it's crazy.
Because you see a mobile number, you're like, who
Exactly.
is this? You answer.
Yeah. The WhatsApp thing is a good point, because next level to that would be having a WhatsApp audio call. You're likely to probably accept that even higher.
And we use
likelihood.
that continuously. So 80% of my phone calls will be a WhatsApp call now, which is so strange.
80%. Wow. That's a big number.
But in my office, it's not. So everyone in my office uses their phones, their desk phones. But then where most of my clients will sit on like a C-level, like CIO or something like that, they will only want to communicate via that WhatsApp number that they've given to a few people.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll make themselves available, but they don't want any other comms coming to them. They just want that space.
So if you look back to 2013, to compare that to where we are now in technology, how has your tech stacks changed, but also how has technology changed for your business from then to now?
Efficiencies, the way in which we're able to access data, CVs, are searching, the amount of candidates online, where candidates are storing their information, the access to people because of the internet has just grown. So realistically, the excitement for if our clients are asking us for anything, they can ask us for basically anything out there, and it's accessible. Where in 2013, it really, if you didn't have it, or the databases or the places you're looking didn't have it, you couldn't get it. That to me is just mind-boggling. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It changed from a local market, and I say local even within Europe and breaking out to those areas, to really to a global market. It's just grown. And that's why with COVID, we had the change to remote working. Remote working then made people sort of say, well, why are we hiring our remote employees who are 5 minutes down the road? Why can't we look at a remote employee who has the better skill set who's over there? And that then opened up that global market again, which then had a effect globally on rates and margins. So then you'll see the trends change, which then means the labor pools and the locations you're shopping from changes again, which is lovely to watch.
I can imagine COVID played a massive part. The normalization of remote work and hybrid working must have played a big impact, being able to hire remote talent.
It did, and it was actually really helpful because for maybe a decade before COVID, software engineers had been, around technology, had been pushing a lot with, I'm not needed in the office every day. Yes, you have sprints or agile meetings or stand-ups, highly useful. But do you need to sit at your desk or sit in an hour's traffic each way to write your lines of code or to do whatever? You don't. So it kind of forced that hand. And a lot of companies were able to see, yes, these people I need in-house. These guys don't need to come to the office every day. And actually, they saw that it worked.
Yeah.
And where it worked, where it didn't work. And it created that,
I think there's something...
pushed it forward.
Yeah, I think there's something special about working together in a room. I don't know, we've got 4 devs here and the rest are all remote. And I find that, and they agree, they also find this, is that when they're collaborating on something, being able to just say, hey, how do I solve this problem? Or what are you working on right now? That it's incredibly productive, where you could do it over a call on WeUC or in Teams, but it's that human interaction, that face-to-face interaction that has a benefit. But I also agree that working from home also has its pros as well. So we're in a hybrid position right now. I'm in 2 minds. I see the benefit of both, but I think that face-to-face definitely shouldn't go away. A fully hybrid remote team, I think personally, would be less efficient than a fully remote team would be less efficient than a hybrid team remote in an office or a all-in-person office. The challenge with an all-in-person team is that you're limited by the geographical area that you're in for recruitment. So you got the people around you, and that's it. So there's a big advantage of being able to be hybrid or remote.
Agreed. It's that flexibility and adaptability. So you have your model for how you want to work, which is that knowledge sharing, collaboration, but also saying, well, within this element, for the right person, we can be flexible. And then you're getting the best of both worlds. And I think that's brilliant.
Because, I think the hybrid approach is the best.
Because in a perfect situation, we would all work together and all collaborate, but some people don't want to collaborate. Some skill sets aren't available locally. People move. I mean, one of my longest standing, a lady I've recruited with for 20 years, who came from my old company to this company. Her husband retired. They've bought a nice place in Wales. So she works remotely and then comes to the office for 1 week a month. I'd love her to be in the office 4 weeks a month, but you know what? With the right person, you'd rather keep that
Absolutely.
talent. So
yeah, I agree.
It's,
And what about any systems that you've implemented that haven't worked out? Any tech that you've chosen that where after some time or immediately after implementing it, you've gone, no, that's not going to work for us?
Yeah. I mean, I think every company has that issue. There's always technology being offered, recommended, suggested, and it's about filtering what actually helps you to stick with your core objectives. So you want to not be taking away from your core time, but have something that adds the value. So adds value without creating too many different layers that are distracting you and pulling you away the whole time. So for example, this new system you've showed me, highly efficient. It adds all of my data analytics. It creates easier ways for me to access. So it's not costing me any time. If anything, it's helping me with efficiencies, but it's not, and it's providing me with data, but it's not creating more work. So I'm not losing friction. Time. Exactly. And there's stability, and you don't want something that's distracting for staff where they're spending all their time looking at something that's not actually a key. So, and then there's obviously cost implications. So often you sold a product and then somebody wants to say, well, if you click on that button, you need to spend an extra point there and you've got to spend extra. So there's cost implications and what the upfront costs are. So yeah, we've all been at fault. We've tried different things and in time you sort of whittle them out and you work with what works. I'm pretty excited about your new product. But that's because also I know how your company works. You know, it's not, you're not selling me a product and then if I want X amount onto it, I need to then spend this amount and it adds up. That is not actually what I bought and it costs 3 times more. I know that what we're looking at is exactly what it says on the tin. I like things simple, straight.
Yeah, well, that's a good segue into, you know, you've been with us for 10 years now and why don't you tell us a story of how it all began and you know how the journey has been over the last 10 years with Circle Cloud?
Okay, thank you. I think this to me is pretty much key. So when I started Endeavour, it was very much landline phoning out, phone calls continuously. That is, if you weren't doing those phone calls, you weren't making conversations over LinkedIn. You know, you had to do physical phones, and that was the key. And I found a company after spending a lot of time researching, reading reviews, looking, pricing, looking for the right price packages. And they promised me the world, and the salesperson was good. But what happened was that salesperson leaves. They start changing their pricing policies. Then you need an extra line because you're growing. Then they don't add on your packages for those ones. So you're getting bills that you weren't expecting. Then when you get your packages, they're extending the overall contract and not giving you full visibility. Basically, we became almost what I felt like was that we were just there to pay. And there was no sort of two-way relationship. It was just about how much money could they make out of Endeavour. And nothing else. Customer service, support, nothing. Really disappointing. And we needed to change. And that's where we came across yourselves. And we met.
Showed up at your offices around? Or?
Yeah, exactly. Came straight to our offices and we had a very frank conversation. And toing and froing about what we expected, what you were doing as a company, what your background was. And we bought into you and your principles. And our phone bill is still, what are we now, 10, 12 years down? Is still less than it was with my previous supplier over a decade ago. And every time my phone bill has creeped or spiraled for one reason or another, I've been able to come back to yourselves. You guys have looked and said, that's because you're hitting this mobile telecom provider in this country, and that's setting your bill off. Hang on, let's see if there's a package or something we can do. And that's readjusted, and then it's come back down. So it's been this brilliant sort of relationship or symbiosis where, you know, we grow from one desk to the next, but you guys support us. Every time something goes out of kilter, it's not, you know, you guys earning more. It's about, let's find something that works for you. And it's been a really good two-way relationship. The value of that for any company owner is priceless because it's not a relationship you need to renegotiate, that you need to start looking and spending time with other suppliers. If you have a supplier that's looking after you and you can maintain, it allows you to get on with other tasks. And that's priceless.
I appreciate that. It's like a fluid relationship, and it's we're here when you need us, and we'll adapt.
Exactly, and that's why we appreciate you guys, and we'll help in any way we can. As you guys have always helped us.
Sounds great.
No, it's it's business, and it's how it should work.
So if we touch back on AI again, how do you feel it's individual? What's your take on AI, and how has it impacted your business directly? What do you use? What tools do you use right now?
Okay, we are not. ChatGPT is obviously a big one. I'm quite flexible around it. So different individuals within our teams have different preferences, and we're not actually set on any one. And I don't really feel that it should be something pigeonholed down or enforced. I think it's too early. AI is fantastic. Screening, way you write emails, it changes everything. But interestingly, it also has the negative. So we'll notice that some people will have their CVs fully written by AI. And then it's like, well, is that you? Or they'll be using AI for their interview answers and actually reading. Now, if you're using AI too much, it's actually off-putting.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what is you? And we need to see the individual. So there is that risk of somebody being over-reliant on it. And same with, we had one of our more junior recruiters that we actually had to pull him a little bit away because he was using it for everything. And it's like, no, you need to be able to do your job. And this should be assisting and improving, but not reliance.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if the market will change that. It'll almost automate certain elements, and that will be that reliance that AI is learning. But we're too early to tell.
Yeah, it should be used as a tool. And Steve Jobs said in the 80s, I think, or 90s, he said the computer is like a bicycle for the mind because it helps you get from A to B faster.
Yeah.
I think AI is in a similar fashion, a bicycle, more of a rocket ship for the mind, right? Because it really helps you get to A to B from A to B much faster. But it's a tool. It should be used as a tool,
Yeah.
and not depended on as the entirety of the process. How do you do it right now when how do you detect that somebody's used AI in a resume or content that they're sending you?
It's going to become more complicated, but at the moment it's very easy to tell. You can just literally, from the way you look at it, AI will always use the same sort of formatting, the same setup. Now, AI is clever. It's going to change that, and it'll start to learn you as an individual, I think, and it'll adapt to how you write things. So that it'll go up another level. But at the moment, it's so obvious.
It started, AI dashes, the typical ChatGPT double dashes. That's a big no-no, right? When they use that. And then you've got, I guess, the structure of the answer when it's overly worded and it doesn't quite make sense. It's not really conversational. It's very much structured.
It's just, I suppose it's almost too perfect, where every person's CV will have there'll be a way they write it, but it's quite individual. Whereas AI will be like, you just instantly be like, I've seen this before. I'm sure there'll be an algorithm as to how it's set up, and you'll be able to say, this is why it's AI.
Well, you can fine tune it. I've recently started doing videos online trying to grow my personal brand. Do you do anything with personal brand work? It's a tricky one because it doesn't come natural to me to start posting things online. I spent the last, since I've been running the business, the last 10 years, most of that time, probably 90% of it, with the social media turned off. All I had is LinkedIn. Facebook was off, Instagram was off, all off, because I thought it was a bit unnecessary. But the more I see others online, big figures, having a personal brand, you think about it and think, I actually follow the person first, and then the business comes afterwards. And I think it opened something up in my mind where I had to get out there. I had to put myself out there.
But then what I'm hearing is there's two things. So if I was to go to one of my marketing clients in London, like highly successful, what would it take them to be able to produce that for you? So if we're going back to sort of a historical format, or if you employed someone, they would maybe have the skills to do 25% of that. So you would have a team of maybe 5 people to actually get all of that put together. And how much time and the monetary costs, and you're probably looking at £10,000 to £15,000 probably for that project, if we were to guess it out.
Yeah.
So it's huge, and you think, here we go. AI has been so good that has it taken those 5 jobs? Well, no, it hasn't taken those 5 jobs, because what type of individual would still do that by themselves and be willing to tear it apart, push it? It's somebody who's driven, hardworking, and intelligent. So you have to have all of those things that you have to do it yourself and push forward, where some people will be like, I'm not going to do that, I'm just outsourcing. So
true. There's an element of maybe the way I've built it is very raw. It's very much, doing the promise myself and everything else. But there might be a tool that I create or somebody else, I don't know, that actually makes it simple for anybody to approach, where you just go into an app and you write a little bit about yourself, write how your writing style is, or input some information, and then just record a brain dump or enter the brain dump.
In time, I'm sure they will, if there isn't already. But it's always interesting, because I love that sort of that adaptation, and it's also it's the evolving market, because you think the youngsters of today are the leaders of tomorrow, and where are the upcoming talent shopping or doing their research? Companies have their physical websites as their presence, but how much time does a 22-year-old or 24-year-old spend researching a company on their physical website, or are they on their social media sites? Are they running searches on the internet? For them, it's what's out there about the company as opposed to what the company's presenting. It's such a different market, and that's where you promoting yourself like this. This is how they are researching you, and how the future researchers.
Yeah. They learn about the people that run the businesses, and most of the time they probably just do an AI search. They look to ChatGPT or Perplexity, and they just search for the company or the individual and want to learn anything about them.
Exactly.
They learn it there.
Tell me more. That's fantastic.
Exactly. So recruitment is about people. So you work with people all day long, and the question I have is AI. There's a huge thing about AI replacing people and taking people's jobs, they say, right? So if AI is going to be taking people's jobs, and in fact, it will be taking people's jobs sooner or later,
Yeah.
how will that impact the recruitment industry?
Well, I think as with any business or all business, you need to add value and you need to adapt. If your business never adapts, you become outdated and redundant. And you need to add service. Why should a company be paying you money unless you're making their life easier? So if I look at an example, a company, your company, you need a certain type of individual, a certain skill set. You, as a person, can go out, you can look on the social media sites, you can even buy into the job boards and search the criteria. You can run the whole recruitment process yourself, as most people can do most jobs themselves. It's about the time and the efficiency to do it. Recruitment is what we do all day, every day. So the type of person or the access we have should be far greater, the efficiency should be greater. And when we put a CV on your desk, it should be someone we've spoken to, we've qualified, we've checked. So they actually can do absolutely everything that you've asked for in the job. And you have 4 CVs, and it's now which person fits into your culture the best. That's really what a good recruiter should be doing. And AI should be able to, in time, deliver 4 profiles that are good, but they maybe haven't done that in-depth checking that a person could do. That's probably where it'll change.
So that's on the angle of AI taking a recruiter's job. How about on the angle of AI taking jobs that you're placing? So for example, I think actually that would be really good for recruitment companies, because as a recruiter, you will be placing, I think you touched on it earlier, you'll be placing less introductory and mid roles, and you'll only be placing the bigger roles, which carry a bigger fee. Because the chances are the first jobs that will be taken, obviously the most white collar jobs will be taken eventually, but it will start with those entry level jobs. And we're seeing it already with software and with other knowledge work jobs as well, where AI takes the entry level jobs. Therefore, your role will be to place candidates into higher level jobs. Therefore, they'll be earning more money and they'll have a bigger fee. So that's positive for recruitment then.
It is. But also the negative is that you still have to have higher level people have to have started somewhere.
True.
So you maybe have a situation where companies can do the mandatory work via AI, but because they need to have this continuous flow through of skill and talent, they might have to say, well, it's cheaper for us to use AI to use that, but we still need to bring 1 or 2 people up organically from the bottom, just so that we have that skill set or that internal understanding of how our systems work. We might have a situation like that. Everything is so speculative. We will find out.
It's early to say, yeah. But you might be right.
Interesting.
You might have a combination of a AI entry-level person working alongside a real entry-level person.
Exactly.
On the same level.
And to maybe then, so you have some sort of protection as you move on in 10 years' time. I don't know.
And what about from what your clients are saying? Are your clients using? Do you know if they're using AI in any other way, in any way that's impacting the way you work? In any, do you know?
They're all adopting AI. Yes, I mean I think that's come through for the last couple of years now. It's just about how fast they're going, where they're going with it, and the type of organization as well. And so, a bigger organization can use it maybe for some proprietary projects, etc., but they've got to be quite cautious with their data. So, yeah, it is affecting, but I still, in the scheme of things, it's still quite early.
Yeah. And them using it hasn't impacted your day-to-day?
No.
Interesting. So challenges. What is in your business, from 2013 you started, right?
Yeah.
To now, what would you say the biggest challenge was, and how have you faced it? And also, what is your current biggest challenge and how are you planning on facing it?
It's a good question. Time management, I think, I used to be told that people could be cash rich and time poor, and I never really understood that concept. I just always thought that they didn't manage their time properly. And time is a commodity. Time is something you only have X amount of hours a day. And that is the one thing I'm the shortest on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my biggest issue. I've also found that you want to have the right staff, the people who really understand your culture, your ethos, that care for your clients, but the business understanding and their long-term objectives. And you always think it's easy to find people, which it is easy to hire, but to hire the right people that really match, I always find with any organization, that's hard. And it's so important that when you get the right people to look after them and retain them, that's something I'm very big on.
I completely agree with that. Hiring is such an important thing. I find the majority of my work, majority of my time is spent recruiting and hiring the right people. And in fact, you mentioned about hiring a person that fits into the company and the culture. I prefer to hire somebody that's less skilled but has the right attitude for work and that fits into the company, rather than hiring somebody that's more skilled but potentially won't fit into the company as well, or has the wrong attitude to work.
100%. Because if they've got the right attitude and the ability, they will come up and keep going and just keep accelerating. It's all about,
They can learn, right? They can learn the skills.
And they want to learn.
Exactly.
The right person wants to. They want
Absolutely.
to work and they want to learn. And you never have to ask them to do anything, because they will just have that sort of I can do it and will do it attitude. And that's what they'll pass on to your clients. That's, business is business. Companies will, we might say, oh, we need this system or this contract. But that's just day-to-day, business as usual. Businesses are already formed around their people.
People buy from people as well, right?
100%.
Yeah. So we've spoken about AI today and technology today. Where do you see the recruitment industry in 5 years?
True, that's a good one. So there's different types of recruitment. I mean, you've got the heavy outbound sales recruitment companies that'll sort of like hammering the phones, phoning you 5 times a month. You've got more targeted ones that'll be very specific about your needs and project needs. Our side is very much more targets, and this is who we are, and if you need us, come to us. The hammering recruitment, you see, technology is more of a high end, because I suppose if you're looking at a grocery store or a high volume recruitment industry, you still going to need numbers. And then you could have AI, but you still going to need somebody to coordinate to have those people actually arriving on time or organizing their shifts. You can create efficiencies, I suppose, with an AI product that's sending out text messages, getting a response, recording them. So you could automate a lot of it. But that industry is not my forte. And then with the higher end industry, I think you're still going to be buying in. You buy an individual to get you exactly what you need. So there will still be an element of that. I think we'll just have better access to data online. I think the online data pool, AI, I think will eventually adapt to be able to pool data. I don't know about you, but it kills me when you get these LinkedIn messages. And I'm like, you haven't even put my name in. It's just a copy and paste. Like, it's dead before it's even started. But when somebody actually takes the time to comment about something that you've said, now maybe it's very intelligent and it's like your clay product, but it's talk about something I've done because I know you've taken the time. Now maybe we've got a system that's efficient, or the AI, but now I'll give you 5 minutes because you took 5 minutes. This is the way the world works.
People appreciate it. You give a bit of time, they give you a bit of time back.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's give and take.
So it's brilliant.
Interesting. So we spoke about AI. We spoke about AI replacing jobs, and we've gone through that already. I guess the next question would be, where do you want to take Endeavour Recruitment? What's your plan over the next 5-10 years for the business?
I had this exact conversation with my wife, and my comment to her was, I'm having too much fun. I love my work and I love the company and I love the people I work with. It's really good. So for us, it's not an aggressive growth or anything like that. It's just a slow organic growth. You know, I think at the moment we're overstretched for what our clients' demands are, and we're trying to manage that. And each year we will just do a slow but organic growth, about just a few couple people that embed nicely within the team.
How many people you got in the business now?
There's 8. So
Eight,
it's small.
8 full time.
Yeah.
Good. No, I mean, it's they're smaller, put it that way.
Yeah.
And it's when you find the right balance, the business carries on. There's no point having more people.
No, well, that's the beauty of it. So we've got 8, but 8 very, very good people.
Yeah.
And what we're doing with 8 people is equivalent to what I did with 40 in my old company. I mean, like, for me, that's what it's all about. And you look at like what each one of these 8 people have as a turnover, have as a margin, have as a commission, and you're like, you guys are flying, absolutely flying. But each one of you, whereas like you look at like how you'd normally set up a recruitment company and how many people you'd need to get to that turnover, and we're doing it like so efficiently, and that's what I love. And it's like, okay.
So what would you say is a piece of tech that you couldn't live without, that you weren't using 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but you are now using every day?
Your CRM or your CMS. I mean, it's without being able to access your clients' details, your candidates, your placements, your contracts, you've got nothing.
What were you using before?
Historically, it was a bespoke system made in-house. Very clunky, very heavy, very costly.
Yeah.
Now there's thousands of products on the market that you can buy, off-the-shelf products that you tailor. But very much it's a personal thing. It's about finding one with the right company that can look after you, you can look after them, understand your needs, and stability. You know, like there's no point having the best product in the world when the thing crashes.
Mm-hmm.
You just need that constant stability so your clients, candidates, staff are online and it works.
Well, I'm looking forward to setting up WeUC in your offices and see what the team thinks.
No, we're looking forward to it. That'd be awesome. And especially for remote working, that'd be very cool. Because often, we've got a client site or something, you travel somewhere, and then you work from your hotel or wherever you are during the day, and it'd be pretty nice, seamless.
Yeah, use your laptop, use your iPad, whatever device you want, and you're in the office, basically.
No, exactly. Yeah. And then the different ways of I think the part that I found also really exciting was the recording, transcripting, and then being able to just instantly send a client, let's just do a quick conference call, or let's do a video call, and pinging a link that the client just needs to click on into their name, and they're on. Like, that to me was simplicity. And that's what everyone loves. I mean, these are guys who are tech geniuses. And, for them just to have something so simple, it's just like, oh, that's nice. And that's something that you want to use. So. Yeah.
Simplicity was a key. I mean, it's actually difficult to do things simple.
Exactly.
Simplicity is difficult.
Simplicity is hard.
Yeah.
But wanted.
Yeah, 100%.
In every element of our life.
Yeah, we put a lot of attention into making things straightforward, trying to make it user intuitive, and just make it look right, but feel right as well.
What's the user experience?
That's right.
I mean, it's like historically booking an airline ticket, and then you get there and then you don't have your passport, and then you couldn't book, and you go back the next day, and then that flight's gone. You have to look again to the guy who said no. An individual can just book it and then enter the details later. It was the user experience, the user interface. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I can't wait. So what would you say if to somebody that wants to start a recruitment company today, what would you say? What would you be one piece of advice that you'd say to them right now?
I think the biggest advice is save enough money. The amount of companies that fail, not because they're a great concept or that they wouldn't have succeeded, is they fail on cash flow.
Yeah.
You need to have the time for it to have a chance to survive, to grow, and to develop. That's the one where I see so many people coming short that have so much ability, and then they go back to the market, and you're like, you would have done it. And it's not just within recruitment, with so many different organizations or companies or dreams.
I think that's a key piece of advice. Don't run out of runway.
Yeah. really set that up, have it. Go do it 2 years later.
Yeah.
Just make sure you are set up, and when you go, you hit the ground running.
Yeah, and you're always going to underestimate the runway you need. So you're going to underestimate the amount of cash you need to make it work.
Second day of starting Endeavour, made a 10,000 grand, 10,000 pound deal.
Oh, wow.
So it was like, I can breathe.
Oxygen, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. And then the first month I had 3 contractors. And then you're going, oh boy, okay, this is fantastic, but now we've got to pay the guys. And you have to have capital for that.
Yeah.
So...
That's a great piece of advice, really good piece of advice.
What would you say?
I think cash is an important one. But I would also add to that, and I'd say you need to love what you do. Because cash is survival, right?
Yeah.
But in order to thrive, you need to love what you do. Because people that go into a business venture because they want to make money or because they think it's the right thing to do, but they don't really love what they're doing, they're gonna burn. And they might not run out of cash, but they will just burn out.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. And you've got to kind of be a little bit crazy about what you're doing, because if you're not crazy enough about it, you will just give up. Because if you're sane, you'd give up because it's hard. So I think you do need to love what you do. I think cash is kind of like the survival mechanism. You need cash to survive. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how much you love what you do, you will die. Yeah. But second to that, I'd say loving what you do is a key part of continuing and staying in business for the long term, and giving it the amount of work that's required and discipline and the amount of hours that are needed to really make it a success. Otherwise, you would just, like a normal person, you'd give up. But yeah, you have to be a bit crazy about what you do.
Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't be worth, if you took into account the time and the hours you put into something.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time.
Absolutely. Before we wrap up, if there's anybody that's looking for a job as a candidate or a company that's looking for a recruiter, how do they get in touch with you?
So if you're trying to get hold of us, endeavourrecruitment.com. We also got .co.uk.
Both. Well done. You covered both domains.
No, of course. It's online. You just search Endeavour Recruitment and you'll find us.
And give us a call, and then it'll go through where you see.
Exactly. The team will, it'll go through Axel. It'll be nice and seamless. We'll know that you're calling. If we miss your call, we'll have a little message to say we missed your call, and we'll know until we've responded.
Johnathan, thanks for being here. And
Thank you, Axel.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
The Operator Podcast by Circle Cloud.